So hey, welcome to the 10-10 movement. You're here with myself, Tony Vee, and our outcome is to assist you to turn areas of your life where you may be somewhat struggling into success. What I call living a more 10 out of 10 life experience. So today I am going to share with you the very system that I use to turn my life around from being a bit of a struggle to way more successful. And it all started by creating a test which you can do very simply now by going to 10-10.life. So www.10-10.life and do the test. Now, when I did this first off some 20 years ago, I scored 54. And I knew that I needed to discover what was in my gap. And of course, what's in our gap is what we don't know. It's what we don't know that is the problem. So I went on this discovery to find out what was in, this 46% that I'd never learned at school because I'd never been taught it. So what I did was to create a system, and the very first step in that system was to become aware that I was a 54. Like before that, I thought I was doing great. But once I discovered or became aware, then everything changed. So I then looked at it like it was the 110 metre hurdles, but instead of there being 10 hurdles in the race, there was only 5. So imagine you're in this race and our outcome is to get to the end and break through that ribbon and get a bit of a personal best time, shall we say, yeah? So I recognised that written on the first hurdle as I attempted this race was the word awareness. So this awareness of being a 54 out of 100 is what started me off. It got me moving towards, and once I found out my score, I started to realise what I didn't know. The second hurdle is actually bigger than the first one. Obviously in the Olympic Games all the hurdles are the same size, but I recognised that the second hurdle was the biggest hurdle, and on it, imagine that is written the word acceptance. What I found out was in my gap is that I was running a pattern where I was believing that everything outside me was the problem. In other words, people should have taught me this stuff. It's what I call being in the place of the victim. In other words, when you blame somebody else, you take on a sort of this lower energy where it's their fault that you're not where you want to be. And actually from that position, that sort of what I call lower energy position, it's like you don't have the energy to get up and get in the race to sort it out. So we sort of just stay there, keep blaming people for things that are not working in our life. So the opposite of that is to take some level of responsibility to realise what we're doing that's not working, because once we realise that, there's something happens inside you energetically where you sort of like almost switch on your energy and go, right, I want to sort that out. Like, what would my life be like if I found out what was in my gap? So once I did that and I got over this first hurdle of awareness, I knew the second hurdle is the biggest hurdle, because I had to accept that my part in the creation of the life that I was then living, my 54, I created that. Other people didn't create it. So the moment I stopped blaming and started to take responsibility for what I had learned and the decisions I've made in my life, then suddenly I got propelled towards this second hurdle, and by accepting it and taking responsibility, it's like I leaped over it and I was like in this race. It was like amazing, yeah? And then of course I arrived at the third hurdle. So on the third hurdle is written the word decision. Now, we make multiple decisions, and just like I, without knowing that I'd done this, have made multiple decisions to get a score of 54, I now knew I needed to make better decisions. And the way to make better decisions is to get your energy to be enthusiastic, excited about getting to the end of this race. Whereas when you don't even know there's a race, you can't do anything about it. And if we're over here blaming everybody else for our lot, then we definitely can't do anything about it because we haven't got the energy. So once you get that energy and you're over the first two hurdles, what happens? It's like magic, really. What happens is you start to automatically make better decisions because you're in a better energy. You've got like a better mindset. Everything in you is geared to make better decisions. But before you make decisions, you can check in. You can check in you're not running your old blame pattern, which will make you crash into the hurdle and fail to get to the end of the race. Whereas when you take responsibility, you start making these new, more empowered decisions, I call it. And suddenly we leap over the decision hurdle with no problem at all. Now then we get to the next hurdle, also super important. On the fourth hurdle is written the word commitment, because yes, I would say you're going to get tested. Between the third and the fourth hurdle, you are going to get tested. So you need to keep and stay in that great energy. And that means we need to stay committed to the cause, committed to finding out what's in our gap, because it's going to reveal itself slowly as you get yourself into a better state, make new decisions. And when you make new decisions, you get different results. And as you get different results, you sort of go, right, I am committed to this cause. I'm 100% committed to getting to the end of this race. So a lot of people might just like give up here and walk off. Well, you're never going to get to the end of the race if indeed you give up here. So we have to stay committed. We've got to jump over that commitment, say I am 100% committed to getting to the end of this race. And then of course you come to the fifth hurdle, the fifth and final hurdle. And on the fifth hurdle is written the word momentum. So this means we have to keep going. We have to keep going. It's a bit like I said, you mustn't give up. If you give up, then you're going to have to go back to the beginning of the race. And if we start doing the whole blame bombs again, blaming everybody else for our lot, then we are going to stay at whatever score that you currently got. So momentum is the secret. We need to keep going, keep committed, keep making those empowered decisions, stay accepting that it's my responsibility to get to the end of the race, and keep becoming more aware of what you're doing that's not working, that will get you through this race and take you to the final ribbon. So that's it. I trust that's assisted you some way. Remember the 5 hurdles: awareness, acceptance, better decisions, staying 100% committed, and keeping that momentum going. And suddenly your life will move towards living a more 10 out of 10 life experience, if indeed you're not already. So if you've got some value out of that, please do hit the subscription button and the notification bell, because we put videos up regularly. And feel free to share this with your friends. You know, if you know your friends are a bit in the doldrums, you know, these 5 hurdles could change everything. And of course, if you are interested in watching more videos from the 10-10 movement, at the end of all of our videos, I pop up a couple of others that you can watch. We've got over 100 in videos that will sort of inspire and empower you to close that gap, as I call it. So do dive in here and watch the next 2. And of course, if you go to the channel, there's way more on there. So that's it from me this week, Tony Vee. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.